Sometimes the fights we don't get end up being a blessing in disguise. Injuries, contract disputes, and surprise retirements have derailed plenty of highly anticipated UFC title bouts. But in some rare cases, those cancellations actually gave fans even more exciting matchups. From unexpected rematches to unforgettable wars, these 10 canceled title fights ended up delivering something even better than what was promised. Number 10. Luke Rockhold vs. Chris Weidman 2.
Strategize against slowing him down or just got to beat him to the punch. I think Whitaker could just out maneuver him and outlast him, honestly.
The first clash between Luke Rockhold and Chris Weidman was a middleweight masterpiece. A brutal war ending with Weidman's failed spinning kick costing him the title. As the man who dethroned Anderson Silva, Weidman's loss was monumental, and fans were eager for the rematch at UFC 199. However, a cervical disc injury forced Weidman out days before the event, leaving the card without a main event. The UFC pivoted to Michael Bisping, who'd been dominated by Rockhold 2 years prior. Expectations were low. It felt like a throwaway fight. Bisping was a top contender, but few believed he could compete. Yet, in one of MMA's greatest upsets, Bisping landed a devastating left hook, knocking out Rockhold to claim the title. The moment was iconic, outshining any rematch Weidman and Rockhold could have produced, and cemented Bisping's legacy as a fan-favorite champion. Number 9. Wanderlei Silva vs. Kazushi Sakuraba 4.
He fight with his heart like me, and with that, after watching his fight for him, man, so one day I fight with that guy, the fight gonna be good.
Kazushi Sakuraba, a pride icon, faced Wanderlei Silva 3 times, each ending in disaster. The first was a brutal knockout, the second a doctor's stoppage, and the third, another savage finish too for titles. A fourth fight on Pride's New Year's Eve card seemed like a cruel decision. Why subject Sakuraba to another beating? Fortunately, broken ribs forced him out days before the event. Mark Hunt stepped in for an electrifying openweight bout against Silva. The fight was a chaotic, thrilling spectacle, showcasing Hunt's durability and Silva's ferocity. Available on YouTube, it remains a must-watch classic. Fans dodged a predictable massacre and got an unexpected gem instead. Sakuraba's injury, though unfortunate, spared him further punishment and gave fans a fight that lived up to Pride's wild reputation, proving sometimes the MMA gods deliver better than planned. Number 8. Israel Adesanya vs. Dricus du Plessis.
You can't go and say, this is what happened, this is how he fought the first fight, let's do that again, because that's in the same category as underestimating.
Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis had bad blood. Du Plessis's claim to be the true African champion ignited a feud, intensified by a heated confrontation after his title eliminator win over Robert Whitaker. The middleweight title fight was set for Australia, and fans were buzzing with the drama, but an injury sidelined du Plessis, threatening the event. The UFC turned to Sean Strickland, fresh off a win over unranked Abus Magomedov. Most predicted Adesanya would steamroll him, given Strickland's prior loss to Alex Pereira. Instead, Strickland dominated, winning nearly every round to claim the belt in one of the most shocking upsets in UFC history. The fight was a masterclass in strategy and grit, turning a disappointing cancellation into a moment fans still talk about. Strickland's unexpected triumph proved the replacement was better than the original. Number 7. Ronda Rousey vs. Miesha Tate.
No one demanded a written resignation from me for judo, and I don't really think the same thing is necessary for fighting, and I'm just doing what I enjoy, and WWE is what I enjoy right now.
Miesha Tate's rivalry with Ronda Rousey was the stuff of legend. After Tate's win over Jessica Ai, Dana White confirmed she'd get her trilogy fight for the bantamweight title. Fans were hooked on the intense history between the two. But 3 weeks later, Rousey announced she'd face Holly Holm instead, leaving Tate blindsided with no clear reason. Holm, with only 3 UFC fights, was hyped as a dangerous striker, but most fans expected Rousey to dominate as usual. Instead, Holm pulled off one of the greatest upsets in MMA history, shocking the world with a head kick knockout. The moment was seismic, redefining the sport. Tate's snub initially felt unfair, but Holm's victory created an unforgettable octagon moment. The replacement fight delivered drama and history that a third Tate Rousey bout might not have matched. Number 6, Matt Hughes versus Matt Serra.
I'd always wanted, when I was a champion, I always wanted to bump up and face the 85-pound champion. And that would have happened if Rich Franklin had not beat Evan Tanner.
Matt Serra's welterweight title win over Georges St. Pierre, earned through The Ultimate Fighter, was a fan-favorite underdog story. But defending against Matt Hughes, who'd only lost once at welterweight to St. Pierre, seemed daunting. Fans viewed Serra's victory as a fluke, and despite their coaching stint on The Ultimate Fighter, expectations for a competitive fight were low. When Serra withdrew due to a back injury, the UFC booked an interim title fight between Hughes and St. Pierre. This trilogy bout was seen as the perfect chance to settle their rivalry. St. Pierre dominated, claiming the interim belt before unifying it against Serra later. The replacement fight delivered high stakes and closure to a storied rivalry, outshining the original matchup. Serra later faced Hughes and lost, proving the interim clash was the better choice for fans. Number 5, TJ Grant versus Benson Henderson.
I want to fight Benson Henderson for the title. Nothing but respect, but hey, I want to fight the champ. I want to be the champ.
TJ Grant earned a lightweight title shot with a stunning first-round knockout of Gray Maynard, but fans barely cared. Outside Nova Scotia, excitement for his fight against Benson Henderson was minimal, especially with Anthony Pettis stealing the spotlight. Pettis' electrifying knockout kick screamed superstar potential. When Grant suffered a concussion, ruling him out of UFC 164 in Pettis' hometown, some fans suspected foul play. Tragically, the injury ended Grant's career, forcing him back to a regular job. But the replacement fight, Pettis versus Henderson, was a dream come true. Pettis submitted the champion in a thrilling performance, sending the crowd into a frenzy, drinks flying everywhere. The fight was a spectacle, delivering the star-making moment Grant's bout likely wouldn't have. Pettis' victory at UFC 164 remains one of the most electric title fights in UFC history. Number 4, Renan Barão versus Rafael Assunção.
I don't see any other guy, and I need to, get a good consistency on my fight career.
Rafael Assunção earned a bantamweight title shot against Renan Barão with wins over TJ Dillashaw and Pedro Munhoz, victories that aged like fine wine. But Assunção withdrew, citing recovery issues from his last fight. The UFC turned to TJ Dillashaw, a relative unknown to fans. Barão, unbeaten for over a decade, was a massive favorite, and no one expected Dillashaw to compete. Yet, in one of the greatest upsets ever, Dillashaw outclassed Barão, claiming the title and launching his career. The fight was a defining moment, showcasing Dillashaw's skill and heart. Assunção never got another UFC title shot, making the replacement a bittersweet but thrilling outcome. Fans witnessed history instead of a potentially good but less iconic fight, proving sometimes the underdog delivers the moment that changes everything. Number 3, Conor McGregor versus Rafael dos Anjos.
Francis Ngannou, there was on the prelim card, and here I am still winning fights, and I think I have the right to call somebody, and I want to call out Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor was unstoppable after his 13-second knockout of the greatest featherweight ever. His lightweight title fight against Rafael dos Anjos, aiming for a second belt, had fans buzzing. The press conference with McGregor's bold El Chapo shirt was pure hype, but dos Anjos broke his foot, pulling out. The UFC offered Nate Diaz, who'd recently called McGregor out in a legendary interview, on 2 weeks' notice at 170 pounds. McGregor accepted, and the buildup was electric. Diaz's upset submission victory was one of MMA's most epic moments, erasing thoughts of dos Anjos. The fight's intensity and drama were unmatched. McGregor later claimed a title against Eddie Alvarez in another replacement fight, but the Diaz clash remains iconic. Fans got a historic upset that defined an era, making it the ultimate replacement. Number 2, Shogun Rua versus Rashad Evans.
I want to go back in there and, obviously I want to fight again. But, there's some things that I need to, clear up. There's some things that I need to,
John Jones was a rising star 6 fights into his UFC career, facing Ryan Bader in a bout that felt like a glimpse of the future. Both were undefeated prospects, but Jones shone brighter. Meanwhile, champion Shogun Rua was set to face Rashad Evans, a former champ whose title shot came more from popularity than recent wins. The fight, following Evans' dull bout with Rampage Jackson, lacked hype. When Evans got injured, Jones, fresh off dominating Bader, was offered the title shot against Rua on short notice. He accepted, and the result was historic. Jones dismantled Rua, becoming the UFC's youngest champion and launching a legendary reign. The moment marked the rise of MMA's greatest champion, far surpassing the original matchup's potential. Fans witnessed the birth of a legend, making it a perfect replacement. Number 1, Valentina Shevchenko versus Sijara Eubanks.
I obviously convened with a couple of guys from Jersey. I'm under Mark Henry, so we kind of had a debate on how long to go out. I talked to Ali, I talked to some other fighters that fought in Elevation, and I just decided let's do like 3 weeks. That seemed to be like...
When New York legalized MMA, the UFC delivered massive cards at Madison Square Garden, with UFC 205 and 217. Expectations for UFC 230 were high, but the announced main event, Valentina Shevchenko versus Sijara Eubanks, for the vacant flyweight title, disappointed fans. The UFC pivoted, booking Daniel Cormier versus Derek Lewis on short notice and rescheduling Shevchenko to face Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Eubanks moved to the undercard, missed weight, meaning only Shevchenko could have won the belt in the original fight. The new matchup saved the event, delivering excitement where the original lacked. Cormier versus Lewis brought star power, and Shevchenko versus Jędrzejczyk was a technical masterpiece. Fans dodged a lackluster main event, getting 2 thrilling fights instead, proving sometimes a last-minute switch is a blessing in disguise. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment with your favorite last-minute main event. Like, subscribe, and join our channel for exclusive content. See you next time.